How's it going, everybody? This is BeatTheBush. Have you been selling on eBay and it just seems like no one wants to buy your stuff? Well, today's video is going to be about what changes you need to make on your listing so that your product will get sold. Now, I've been selling on eBay for over 10 years, at least since 2002. Since doing it at that time, I move around 2 to 5 products every single week consistently for a really long duration. So you can imagine I probably sold at least 1,000 products on eBay so far. Now, one of the things I recommend is to sell your old stuff, the stuff that's been sitting around that you don't really use. It really helps to minimize the stuff that you have. You don't have stuff sitting around collecting dust. You can have more money in your pocket. But in order to do this, you need to make your products move on eBay. In other words, you have to be your own salesman and make the products enticing enough so that people will pay whatever you're asking them to. Now, sometimes when you have a product that's been sitting around and you have a slight sentimental value attached to it, you might actually value it more than the market is willing to pay. Sometimes you have to let go of things even if you have to take a slight loss. Now, you cannot always make money when you're selling your old stuff because things depreciate. So sometimes you have to just look at how much the value of the item is. Just look up sold items on eBay. You can do a search right on eBay itself, and then there's a panel on the left side. You can click sold items and they'll show you everything that's sold. Looking at this really helps you in determining how much that item is actually worth so that you can list your listing a little bit below that so that it'll actually get sold. Sometimes if you're trying to get rid of an item, you might not be able to get rid of it if you have a certain price set for it. If it's really high, well, no one is ever gonna buy it. Sometimes it's gonna be a lot lower than what you think it's gonna be worth. But at least if you sold it for that lower price, you're gonna have that money in your bank account and that item will be out of your mind, out of the way, and you're never gonna see it again. The great thing about this is that in my experience of selling my old stuff, most of the time after I sell it, I don't even remember that I had it anymore. Just having your space cleared out is rewarding enough. So getting a little bit of money back, it's like a bonus on top of that. Now, when you're selling something, let's say you're trying to sell these peas or something. If you find that your item is not moving and you list it and then no one buys it week after week, then you really know that no one wants to buy it at that particular price. So there are some things that you want to take a look at if your item never sells. For one, you want to double check the pictures. If they are very low quality, if they're kind of dark and stuff and you don't see everything, then you might want to retake the picture so that it becomes more enticing. This is like a marketing exercise after all, because it's a single item that you're trying to sell. You're trying to compete with other people. So you want very good pictures so that when people look at the item, they know exactly what they're getting. You want to zoom in on particular details so people can see if it's damaged, if it's dirty or anything like that. Maybe, like for the peas, maybe you want to flip it open and, take a picture of the inside, zoom in on the zippers over here, zoom in on this little tag over here, just so that you can sort of simulate if they're there in person, they can evaluate what kind of quality it is, how clean it is. Now, if you already got really good pictures, there's another thing that you need to add on top of that. If it still fails to sell, you might want to double check your title to make sure everything that you spelled out is in a correct spelling, because a lot of times, sometimes you might spell it incorrectly and it will never come up on the search. Now, alternatively, you could also search for alternate terms for this particular items. For example, this is Disney's Peas in a Pod. You might want to add other search terms. For example, peas stuffed toys or something like that. Whenever you have some item, there's always a different way to call it, and you can just stuff it into the title. So using up the whole title is probably best. Just use up every single character there is so that you can take advantage of every single keyword that you can stuff in there. Now, the last thing I want to recommend is to actually lower the price. Sometimes when you have some item, you might sort of overestimate how much it's actually worth. You might go and look at previous sold things and then you might miss something about your own product. Maybe there's a slight defect that you don't see. Maybe it's slightly discolored. Maybe the little happy face is not as happy as usual, so people don't really like the product. As a last resort, and this works very well, if you happen to have, let's say, 50 products being sold and then you keep on having these last 10 items that no one ever wants to buy, you might want to consider lowering the prices of those things. Now, if you have the time, you might want to lower in tiers, sort of like those clearance sales from those big box stores whenever they close. Lower it by 10% or something and then list it for 1 or 2 weeks and then, see how well it does after you lower the price. Usually someone would buy. If you have like 10 items and you lower all of them by 10%, someone's gonna buy something, 1 or 2 items. I hope these tips and tricks helped you get rid of your items and helped you sell more easily on eBay. Thanks for watching this video. If you're interested in supporting this channel, check out my Audible link down in the video description below where you can get a free audiobook. And if you don't like this audiobook or the service, you can cancel it before the subscription expires and you can still keep this audiobook for free. Don't forget to give me a like on this video if it helps you out. Push that subscribe button over here and ring that bell icon. Thanks for watching.